back with another INZOI video today, and it has been a while, but we are slowly approaching early access to INZOI on the 28th of March, and I've actually already had the chance to play the game for the last couple weeks. And today I'm going to be sharing with you some of my gameplay and some new discoveries of 10 new gameplay features that have been added to the game since my last playtest many months ago. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, basically I was able to get my hands on the game many months ago and actually over a year ago, and I'll share all of those videos down below. I highly recommend checking them out. You can kind of follow the journey of how the game has evolved. But of course, 6 months later, and there's a lot of new stuff in the game, and that's what I want to show you all today. Without further ado, let's check out some new INZOI gameplay features. Okay, the first little INZOI gameplay feature that we're going to be talking about is the addition of services. So if you head onto your smartphone down at the bottom, you'll see this thing called P Market, which is Pocket Market. And when you load it up first, you'll see food items. So you can actually order full meals. You can also order ingredients. You can order coffee, but you can also order household services. So there's babysitters, there are cleaners, there are repairmen, and there's usually two different options. One is maybe a lesser, cheaper option, and one is more of an extensive one. And you can call them to come to your home. Literally within a couple minutes, they'll show up. Then there's a really interesting pop-up that comes up where you can either accept them at the door and greet the visitor, or you can pretend not to hear it and ignore them at the door. I actually never tried that option because I didn't want to ruin my karma, but I guess an implication of that would be a negative karma, and then eventually I guess they would just leave. But yeah, then the cleaner will come and clean your house, and I think that's a really cool feature that adds a bit of realism. Moving on to broken objects. So we have a lot of appliances, fridges, ovens, TVs, radios that can break in INZOI, and you want to be very careful with them because they can actually kill you. So you can attempt to repair the objects, but if you don't have a good skill, then you're definitely at risk of passing away. And I didn't want to kill my INZOI in this save file, but it has happened to me before. So make sure you use that option to hire the repairman to come and actually fix your appliances. But this is something that actually happens quite frequently. My TV and my fridge were the two biggest weaknesses. So definitely make the most of that repair feature from the Pocket app. Next up, we are going to be talking about careers. Now, you know I'm a big career player, so I immediately beelined straight to the phone to check out what the new careers are in this version of the game. The INZOI team have actually been transparent that careers is something that they were not able to really dedicate as much time to leading up to early access as they wanted. For now, these are the new careers that we're getting. The existing ones, we have the Fire Station, which I actually played in one of my other videos, and Adam Entertainment. We have Aramir Group, which I think is to do with business. Justitia Law Firm, which is where you can be an attorney. The Mirror of the Era, which is a journalist career where you can be a reporter or an editor. There's now a university under education, so you can be a professor at the university. There is a military service, so you can be an officer all the way up to a general. DW Soft, where you can be a junior developer all the way to a lead developer. DG Esports, where you can be an amateur gamer or a legendary gamer. Do1 All Reserved, where you can be a rescue team member or a CEO. And then of course there are part-time jobs where you can either work at the Do1 Deli or the convenience store. But a really cool new feature actually, under careers, if you join a job and then go into your schedule, you can actually adjust the amount of time you spend at work. Using the sliders, you can simply make your working day shorter or longer. Although you should be aware that if you make your working day too short, you'll be at risk of not getting promoted. But if you feel like you're spending too long at work, this is a great option. Next up, I want to talk about the social menu and the interactions between different ZOIs. So I've approached this stranger from the street, and you have a bunch of different social interactions right from the offset, and it's broken down into some really easy to understand categories. This for me is so important because I get weirdly stressed when I'm interacting with other ZOIs. I feel like I need the conversation to constantly flow and actually make sense with the options I'm picking. So having them kind of laid out and categorized makes it so much easier. You might notice there's some little keys next to some of those options, and that represents little bits of information about the other ZOI that you still need to unlock. So things like career, preferences, marriage, traits, outlook on life, things like that. Definitely don't want to rush it. You don't want to ask them a bunch of those key questions right from the offset because they'll kind of react a little bit standoffish and maybe taken back by your hastiness, and then they'll walk away. Here's an example of where we didn't know anything about her. They were all locked. And then we started asking a little bit about her career and then kind of asking other questions in between. And we learned a little bit about her, and you're able to get a better understanding of the Zoi and yeah, their outlook on life and things like that. Okay, next up I want to talk about something a little fun and random, but adds a little bit of realism to the INZOI game. And that is some fun new interactions that you can do with your Zoi just on their own, just by clicking the Zoi. So it's things with the smartphone or just things on their own. Starting with the ability to actually change your clothes. So you can now change your outfits into summer, winter, formal attire, and you can also go into create a Zoi and actually style a new outfit, and your Zoi will just change there and then. Under personal actions, you can also show off your outfit, and something really fun that I later learned is that this starts off a rumor. So if other Zois witness you, rumors will go around that you're showing off and bought a new outfit. Then we have a really fun one, look for directions. So if your Zoi is spending a lot of time running around the map, you can do a little look for directions interaction and just get your bearings. Another fun one is you can spray a mosquito repellent. So I guess depends on what world you're living in. Maybe mosquitoes are more high risk than others, and you can just spray a mosquito repellent. Two really fun new ones that I discovered is if you actually witness something happening, witness a crime or maybe two people arguing, you can actually ask for help, which will basically have your Zoi kind of scream and flail their arms around. Or you can take it one step further and you can actually report an emergency. So you'll get your smartphone out and you'll call to report something. Also with the smartphone, you can upload something to Bubbly, which is the social app. Actually, depending on your karma meter, you can either do a complimentary post on Bubbly, or you can start a malicious rumor on Bubbly. You can also turn on your flashlight on your smartphone. I don't know why I find this so funny and random. There was never a situation where I needed to, but so realistic. You can also take a photo on your smartphone, so your Zoi will go into the position of taking a photo and you can take it from her perspective. So yeah, adds to that immersive gameplay. And there's a bunch more interactions, by the way. These are just some fun little ones I discovered. All right, next up, we are going to be talking about filters. Now, this is actually not new to the game, but it's something that I very briefly touched upon in my previous videos, and I really feel like deserves a little bit more time. So if you didn't know, INZOI offers filters, which you can literally just apply over gameplay and changes completely the visual style of the game. So a couple of the options, this one is just the normal realistic. As you can see, my Zoi is just walking. Then we have a lovely effect, which just gives brighter colors. We have a cartoon effect, which gives you kind of an outline and cooler colors. We have a black and white cartoon, miniature style, fisheye lens, note, retro, which I think is really cool. This is one of my favorites actually, and thriller. So I think out of all of these, I loved cartoon, lovely, retro, and thriller. I honestly feel like there's a world where I could play my game completely in this kind of color palette. I feel like it makes it feel like a very different game. And you're basically in maybe more of a sci-fi thriller story game. And it could help with gameplay, could help with storytelling. So definitely explore these filters if you're not a huge fan of that hyper-realism that INZOI has. Also, I love the lovely and cartoon one though. I think they're so fun, colorful, and bright. So there's a world where all of them could be useful. Next up, I want to talk to you all about events. And events I think are super important because they kind of create more of a community and that social aspect of a life simulation game. Something that I did just right off the bat kind of feel with the event system is it feels a little bit limited, but there are ways that you can make them a little bit more dynamic and interesting and varied. Let me talk you through it though. So you can have a party, a general party, you can name it, you can pick your date and time and your location. We're just doing a housewarming party at the house. From there, you can invite your guests, pick your dress code, and you can do different actions. And I think this is where you can get creative. So for my housewarming party, I decided to make all my Zois clean and help me out around the house. And prohibited actions were things that I didn't want them to do, like sleeping and, I don't know, doing random activities. But you could definitely customize the actions to get a certain type of event. So for example, you could do a gaming party and have them all play video games together and things like that. So there are ways to get creative and customize the events. Then there's a couple of different event objects in the build catalog. We have a cool little disco ball, I almost forgot the name, balloons, so you can kind of set the scene a little bit more. And then right on cue, our housewarming party started and the guests started to arrive. So I did did notice that the Zois started cleaning, which is great. They were doing a lot of my vacuuming and mopping and things for me, so that shows that it works. But I really wanted to show you how there's a really cool animation called scripted actions and then immediate actions. But the scripted actions are really cool because you can basically just press play and it will go through the sequence of events completely automatically. You can sit back, relax, and just watch the party unfold. So basically all of the Zois will just do as they're told. If you select some actions like singing or clapping, for example, those are the ones I tried, then all of the Zois at the same time will do it. It's good because they do what they're told and they will all simultaneously do the same thing, but it doesn't maybe feel the most natural. So I still feel like there's room for improvement in the events system, but at least they're doing what they're told. All right, moving on, I wanted to show you all about the improved system for proposals and marriage. So this is what a proposal animation looks like. Two of my Zois have built up their relationship, and we then get the option to ask them to marry you with the little key next to it. And again, they can reject you, but my relationship was quite high with this Zoi, so he said yes, and we got engaged. Now, something you might notice is missing is there are no cutscenes. So in my previous gameplay, there was cutscenes, a lot of cutscenes. There are no cutscenes now. So you immediately just get that pop-up saying that you're engaged and then straight back to real life. And then from there, you can plan the wedding. But before that, I wanted to show you the woohoo situation. So you get the option to set the mood in front of the bed, which is a really interesting way of saying it. But basically, your two Zois will walk over to the bed and then a big red heart will appear. And I guess the rest is up to our imagination. I think it was about a minute, not too long, and then the Zois will finish and then walk around either side of the bed. Although it's actually really cute. They both do like a little happy dance, which is so cute. But again, no cutscene and you're straight back into real life. Okay, now my two Zois are engaged. Let's talk about weddings. So you can head straight into the schedule, make an event the same way you would make a normal event, but now you have the option to pick a wedding. So you can name your wedding, you can pick the duration and the location, and there's only one wedding venue right now, so you're a little limited. But in the next slide, you do have the option to invite your guests, pick the dress code, and then, of course, those recommended actions and prohibited actions, so you can decide what kind of wedding you want. Then you can click on your Zoi to take you to create a Zoi, and then make sure you change your party outfit to a wedding dress if you want that wedding effect. Or not, up to you. Maybe you don't want the big white dress. But the wedding location venue is actually stunning. It is so beautifully decorated, and there's a couple of different fun areas to check out. You have the aisle, you have a cute little photo spot right at the back, the chairs either side, a little seating area for the banquet. So there's actually a lot of different areas that you can have this wedding. And then your friends will start to arrive, the guests in their formal wear, and that same scripted actions and immediate actions option will pop up. But it's so cool because you could literally, as I said, press play and then watch the Zois do all of the scripted actions, and it's really hands off. So my Zois started walking down the aisle, then we had the speeches, the ceremony took place, and then we had the rings, and it all just kind of happens in sequence, and you really can just sit back and watch it unfold. You could also, you don't have to do that. You don't have to press play. You could actually just do the actions yourself. If you click on the Zoi, you get those same interactions. But I really like just being able to watch it happen and watch the kind of response around for the Zois around me. And yeah, I think it's just a nice little break to be able to just press play and they'll all do what you want them to do. But definitely make sure you end the wedding with that photo booth at the back, the photo op. It's really, really cute. And you can also change the time of day so you can have the lighting change. And it's really cute. So many cute photos. And then after the wedding ends, you get the little congratulations on your wedding pop-up, and then you can actually merge the two households. So you can merge them to live together at your existing property, or you can look for a new house. You can do the asset division, merge the funds, or whatever you want. You're in control of that household then. And yeah, I thought that was a really, really cute wedding. And I didn't have many friends at that point. That's why I was a little quiet. But if you had lots of friends and you filled up the wedding venue, it would be so cute. All right, now we are fast forwarding a couple years. My two Zois have had a little bit of a rough marriage, and it is time for divorce, which is now a feature that you can do in INZOI. In my previous gameplays, you weren't able to do that. And now we have the option to divorce. So you can do a lot of kind of negative actions with other Zois. You can burn their clothes, you can argue, you can throw a punch, you can heckle, you can mock, you can tease. So there's a lot of negative interactions, and then eventually you'll reach a point where the get a divorce option will come up. It could come up that one of your Zois kind of rejects that and says, no, it's unacceptable to get a divorce, but eventually, if you're persistent, you'll get a divorce. The little pop-up got divorced will come up, and then your two Zois are separated. Okay, now we're on to our last gameplay feature. And you know what? My Zoi's had a rough couple of months. She's got a divorce. She's feeling really low. She's kind of having a hard time in life, and she's deciding to take it out on all of the other innocent Zois on the street. She is throwing punches. She's heckling them. She's threatening them. She's slapping them, and she is maybe not the smartest and decides to do it in front of a police station. So she ends up also punching a police officer, and while she's at it, she also decides to extort them. And you know what? Things are not looking great for Emma. And other police Zois come running to the crime scene, and she ends up getting arrested. So I actually have a really funny video I'm gonna leave down below of what if everything went wrong in INZOI, where I explored all of this, and it's really funny. Definitely check that out. But something we were not able to do in that last video is actually have a consequence to our actions. Well, now we do, and now you will wind up in jail, and you will find yourself locked in this room. And I mean, you have the toilet, the sink, a bed, and a vending machine, and not much else. You cannot get out of there. And it's actually, I feel like for gameplay and storyline purposes, I love that. I love that there's consequences to being a bad person, honestly. And if you get caught, you end up in jail. I would love to see if there's a way to break out of jail. So if you get your hands on early access on the 28th of March and you discover a way to get out and break out of jail, please let me know. I feel like that would be so fun to discover. But yeah, I mean, this was about 24 hours in jail, and then at 9 a.m. the next day, we got a pop-up saying you've been released from jail and that you can go home. So all in a day's work. So that is it. That is some new gameplay features in INZOI, and you can get your hands on the game very soon on the 28th of March. I will actually leave all of the info on that early access release down below. If you do decide to pick it up, let me know. I would love to know your thoughts. I have a couple more videos planned until then, including a build mode video, so stay tuned. And if there's anything specific you want to see in INZOI, definitely let me know. But otherwise, I will see you all in my next video. Bye!